Just Wait Until the End by W.B. Celestia stood before her mirror. The imposing wall of glass was a gift from one of the many cities that were grateful to their wise ruler. Manhattan, maybe, or was it Philadelphia? She had forgotten who exactly had gifted this to the palace, but remembered a great deal of pomp and ceremony had been involved. It was tradition. Long, long, tired tradition.
Isn't it lovely, though?
She jerked upright, eyes widening in surprise. It couldn't be back. She hadn't talked to it in ages. Silence had been the norm for weeks. It was only when a tired mind playing tricks.
Why won't you say hello? Didn't you miss me?
No, it wasn't. She scanned about her chamber, searching for the source of the voice.
No, I didn't. You shouldn't be in here.
Oh, why not? Do you think I'm not worthy?
No,
Said Celestia.
I think you have bad manners. Every time you come here, you never introduce yourself. Tell me who you are or go away.
Don't you know that already? Why haven't you figured it out by now?
The alicorn ground her teeth. It was always these maddening games. Every time this creature came to her room, speaking in endless questions and never revealing who she was. She'd had the palace searched, top to bottom, looking in every nook and cranny, but no pony was ever found.
If you're trying to pretend you're my conscience, you can stop it, wherever you are. I'll find you, and this will cease. You won't trick me, you.
Why should I pretend to be your conscience? Telling someone right from wrong is far too simple. Don't you agree? Isn't it more fun to ask questions, not give answers? What's the point of a brain if you don't think with it?
I'm telling you for the last time.
A giggle, mocking her with every chiming note, interrupted her fret.
Or you'll do what? Punish me? Imprison me? Or just stand there and take it? You know, like you usually do?
Celestia tried to close her mind, using the long-forgotten techniques of so many years ago to seal her thoughts into an impregnable fortress. Mind magic was tricky to counter, but she'd had over a millennium of experience. Years of working with brilliant minds, study and practice. She had discussed how to build walls with Starsoul the Bearded, how to bend her thoughts and read like a reed that had come from the mage's own mentor, who she'd only been able to find in old books, to throw off a mental grapple. She'd even learned how to attack intruders, a spike of deadly power that caused a great pain to the invader if they somehow pushed past her walls, from Starsoul's prodigy pupil. No one could break her defenses. The one thought that just insanely the thought of it was just insanely laughable. Even Discord had known better.
Should I laugh now? I should. Shouldn't I? After all, why did you think this would work? Have I proven myself now?
It couldn't be. That was impossible. But when she looked into the mirror, all that would look back was her, and her alone.
Isn't that better? Don't you like finding the truth?
If you're not my conscience, then what are you?
She asked her image.
How can I explain? I suppose I'm not your moral compass, am I? Wouldn't that be boring? All straight answers. Though, in simplified black and white, maybe I'd be better if I called myself your hindsight. A thing that always dwells on what you've done.
If you're my hindsight, then you shouldn't be bothering me. I've done nothing wrong.
Celestia insisted, turning to leave.
Oh, but haven't you? What have you done except wrong?
Celestia cocked her head pivoting to a scowl at herself.
Explain.
Well, how about your utter failure as a protector?
Equestria stands tall and proud.
She snorted, looking away from the glass.
Our citizens have never had more peace than they do right now.
Yes, but that's not because of you, was it? Why have you made yourself a figurehead who depends on others to do her dirty work? Why must 6 children defend your kingdom time and time again?
The princess turned fully back to her reflection, a flash of anger glinting in her eyes.
How dare you?
Don't you mean, how dare I? After all, I'm as powerless as you, wouldn't you think?
You take that back.
She demanded.
Why should I? Hasn't every decision you made been that of failure or cowardice? Could you stop your own sister? A younger sister at that? How much has she suffered because of you, by the way?
Celestia stomped a hoof down, the room trembling with her rising power.
She didn't give me a choice.
Maybe not. But we'll never know, will we? Why didn't you see the signs before she became a monster? Why didn't you note the obvious? Why could you not see her pain, her loneliness, and try to help her? Were you really that selfish, or did you just not care?
I cared.
Celestia screamed at no one.
I always cared about Luna. But she needed to deal with her problems on her own. That's how we grow. I can't interfere with others' lives because that isn't right.
It would have really been that difficult to talk with her, would it? Have been against your duties to ask what was wrong and read between the lines for once? When she told you she was fine, even though you could tell she was upset, why did you not comfort her? Why could you not have given her a simple chance to see what it was like in a day of the sunshine?
We each had our place and our duty.
She growled, fighting back the tears that welled up and threatened to embarrass her.
Does that ring a hollowy to you? As it does to me? Well, you? If it's such a crime for you to switch positions, why is it you could take her responsibilities on top of your own with no fuss?
She would have slapped his voice if she could, but she had to settle with bellowing.
Doing that to her broke my heart.
But not enough to consider bringing her back. How could you justify putting her somewhere alone for 1,000 years? No comfort, no friendship or anything.
Stop it!
Why does this hurt you?
In a fit of rage, she struck like a wounded lion at the mirror, and the mirror shattered under the weight of the metal-shod hoof, turning into chunks and shining dust below the hoof. It rained down onto the floor, tinkling like a weeping river of stars. She stomped on several of the larger pieces until, panting heavily, she trembled over the devastation.
Did that help?
It was too much. Celestia sank to the floor, curling into a tiny ball as the voice whispered sadly.
That's why you let those children fight Discord too, isn't it? You essentially lied when you said you couldn't match your sister and use the elements anymore, didn't you? Was it more because you couldn't bear the thought of fighting again alongside someone you love? Would that bring up painful memories like when she turned on you? Oh, but that was expected, wasn't it? You had no idea how far gone she was until she tried to destroy you all those centuries ago. Did you? Of course you didn't. How could you? When did you ever take the time to notice?
Every organ in her body twisted and whirled, threatening to escape the nearest possible exit. Why did it have to torment her like this?
Why does hindsight ever torment anybody? You know, I don't much like the name hindsight anymore. How about you? It really doesn't suit me. Don't you think? Would doubt be better? Or how about guilt?
Just go away.
She whimpered, curling up tighter.
Please, leave me alone.
Isn't that the path of evil, though? Ignoring the results of your actions. Is that who you become? If you don't question your decisions, who will? Nobody would dare call you the wrongdoing. You're too old and powerful, so I suppose I'm the only one, aren't I? Why is it tyrants always.
Celestia made to stand up, but her stomach threatened rebellion at the thought.
I am not a tyrant.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. Losing our temper again, aren't we? Aren't we just the impulsive one? We really should keep a lid on our anger, shouldn't we? It does no good for the long-lived to fall into bad habits after all, does it? Like deliberately causing conflict? So how about we go there?
It was a lesson in friendship.
Oh, and you'd know all about that, wouldn't you? Why, teach a lesson yourself were incapable of learning. Why couldn't you send 6 tickets to begin with? Save them the trouble.
It worked out.
Not because of you, was it, again? 6 children, 1 and for all, 0 you? And what about the dragon? The Philomena incident? Never saw a little girl that upset by the way. So very, very good job there. Spike's growth spurt.
Please, I'm begging you. No more. Just no more.
Celestia sobbed. Pain spread through her chest, the first time in so many years that she'd ever felt like this. The first time had been when she'd banished her sister in a heartbreak, and she couldn't even describe it. There was no breaking sensation, which would have been so lovely, but instead it was just a long twisting and squeezing that made every muscle in her body hurt to twitch.
Why is it the leaders never understand? Did you think you'd never have to make an important choice? Or that you'd have to live with consequence of your choices? Are you truly that arrogant?
Now she started crying, the sensation of hot iron flowing down her face.
No more. No more. No more.
It's even worse when you think about what you let your sister do on her first reintroduction to the populace, isn't it? She's been gone over 1,000 years. Any pony she actually knew or cared about is gone, but you let her just jump around like she actually had a clue about what she was doing. What sort of sibling are you?
She made new friends. She made them herself.
Celestia cried.
Don't take this from me.
Yes, but where were you? Ponies would naturally be frightened of her, so why couldn't you be her shoulder to cry on, her pillar to lean against? Why couldn't you have been there to advise her? Why did she need comfort from a stranger, not her own flesh and blood?
She'd never ask.
So I guess it's back to that question of you being a dependable leader and family member again, isn't it?
A haze of red filled Celestia's vision, the twisting replaced by a burn of hate. No, she was a ruler too good, and she was a good sister. This thing wasn't going to get between her and what she should have been, what she should be. It wouldn't drive her mad with this ceaseless parade of questions that didn't have any clear answers. Planting a hoof underneath herself, she stood up and screamed as loudly as she could.
Go away. I am Princess Celestia, raiser of the sun and ruler of Canterlot. You don't scare me, you insufferable mite.
Silence. Blessed, blessed silence. Celestia took a few seconds to compose herself while a wave of her horn repaired the mirror, fusing each broken piece into its neighbor until her horn shone in the whole glass once more. It would do no good. It would do no good to hurt some pony's feelings by leaving it in that state. Besides, she really did like it. It's a nice present, filled with the trust and love from ponies she herself would gladly trust and love in return. She was a strong and capable leader, one that others looked up to and admired, and she could prove it wrong. Taking her stance against evil until no pony would question her willingness to work and earn that respect was how she'd win. No doubt about that. A firm knock echoed in her chambers, breaking her concentration. With a quick wipe to clear the tears, she announced calmly.
Please, come in.
Shining Armor walked in through the doors, head bowed stiffly in deference. Whenever you're ready, milady, the ceremony can begin.
Cadence is a very lucky girl, you know.
Celestia said with a smile. Shining Armor shook his head. No, I'm the lucky one. However I caught her, I'll never guess. With a wave, Celestia dismissed him, and, when he was gone, she looked into her mirror again. She smirked, and even nearly stuck out her tongue. She'd show it. It would certainly be her gift to her loyal subjects, proof that their princess was capable of protecting them from harm when push come to shove. The Alicorn stood up and strode to her door, hurrying as much as dignity would allow. It wouldn't do to keep them waiting. This was a wedding after all. The end.